Hey, girlfriends, how are you? I am Karen Ray. I'm the host here at the Being Brave Tour podcast, where we are sharing stories. And we have Deanna Powell with us today. And I'm so excited for her to share her story because it is quite a doozy. And I'm just going to share a little bit about Deanna. She has been in real estate for over 30 years and recently started a podcast called The Intrepid Storytelling. And I actually had to look that word up too, because I'm like, I know that word is really cool, but what exactly does it mean? But it's a podcast where she dives deep into the human experience through real, unfiltered, and transformational stories. And that's really what we're here to do today too, is to share your intrepid story on the Being Brave Tour. Deanna, welcome. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to tell my story on your podcast. And you mentioned that you had to look it up. So did I. I had to look that word up, intrepid.
Yeah.
And somebody had used it in a sentence, and I thought, ooh, what is that word? I looked it up, and it's not just brave and courageous, but it means dauntless, resolutely fearless, valiant. Okay, like this is more than just brave and courageous, right? It's like, wow, oof, you really have to be brave to be intrepid, right?
Yes.
I feel like everybody has a moment where they had to dig deep, find that courage to do something scary or where you feel like I just can't go on, but I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. And so these stories, they're meant to be told. They don't keep them inside. They're meant to be told to another person, maybe. But if you could put your story out to the world, you just have no idea how many people need to hear your story. And
yeah, exactly. And you talked about that. We'll get into your story here too, but one of the quotes that I pulled out here was, courage for me was when I decided to tell my story, all of it, the good and the bad. And that can sometimes be very daunting, like, as part of the description and the meaning of the word. It can be daunting to tell your story, to be vulnerable. And so I thank you for coming in and sharing this, because women will be able to relate to different parts of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Know that they're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's too. I think sometimes you think, oh, I'm the only one going through this. And then you realize once you start saying, well, I went through this part, like maybe it's an abusive relationship, like what I've been through, or maybe you single motherhood. And that's another thing I can relate to. And you realize, oh, I'm not the only one going through this. I just recently started posting about like perimenopause and hot flashes and stuff. And oh my gosh, like so many people are, oh yeah, this is what you do if you need, like, oh, I've been going through that too. Like, give me your tips, And so you just like kind of, when you become vulnerable, it opens the door to now the person you're talking to feels safe to be vulnerable back. And there's a connection that happens there that's really powerful. And it's just like, my passion is connecting with people like that.
It is. And one of the things that I have found with, storytelling and hearing the stories is it seems like women really connect through the emotion of the story, whether it's the overcoming piece or, those parts that led up to a change, or the overcoming part, as we get through things and we're cheering each other on. And it doesn't sometimes even matter the circumstance, because some of the feelings are the same, some of the same emotions that we walk through. And those are the pieces that really seem to connect us. So it's going to be interesting to see what women listening, which part they connect with. So we would love to hear, if you, a lot of times we have these little paddles that say, I relate.
Yes.
At our events.
Me too.
Yeah. And so, or that resonates with me, whatever that is for you. So let's chat a little bit about your story. So take us back to a time where you knew life was just not going the way you wanted. What did that look like for you?
Well, so today I'll talk about the part of my story that probably was the most life-changing and transformative for me. And that was when I hit rock bottom from drinking. I started drinking at age 16 to try to fit in with my high school friends, and that liquid courage made me feel like I fit in and made me feel like I was a part of a group. But you don't realize, especially at that age, your brain isn't even fully developed, but you don't realize what harm alcohol can do to your life over time. And, I got into my early 20s and, life was still good. No hangovers, no real like residual negative effects. I just was living my best life, and did alcohol affect me in negative ways? Absolutely. Like it wasn't, you don't make the best decisions when you've been drinking. And so my biggest or most, let me say, worst decisions I made were drinking and driving. I think that you can drive, but you are impaired.
You are impaired.
Even one glass of wine or one beer could affect you. And depending on how long ago you drank it, right? And so you think, well, I've only had one drink, but now I'm going to drive home from this Seahawks game, or I'm going to drive home from this wedding or wherever it might have been, barbecue. And if the cops pull you over and they can smell alcohol, you're in big trouble. And I just, I don't even want to call it bad luck. I got caught a lot, and I have multiple DUIs. And the last one that really nailed it was I was 36 years old. And I think I kind of mentioned that over time, you don't see how life had become unmanageable, or that how alcohol has impacted your life in a negative way, except for these little pieces. And if you add them all up, then you kind of look back on your life and go, oh yeah, alcohol just completely ruined my life. But these little things, and when you try to make excuses or whatever, over time, it's like the frog in the boiling water. You're just like, now alcohol has completely ruined my life. So let me tell you how it did for me. Yeah, so I was kind of finishing up from just a night of just drinking and having fun and dancing and just being, I thought it was hilarious, so I just, everybody would laugh at my jokes and stuff. It was the Blue Martini in Bellevue. And, I'm getting ready to drive home after drinking how many glasses of wine, I don't know, but they pour the glass all the way to the top for me there. Oh, Deanna's here, like let's pour her Chardonnay all the way to the top, or Pinot Grigio. And I'd have to lean over the glass to sip out the wine so that I could even pick it up so it wouldn't slosh over the side.
Oh my goodness.
I was drinking very heavily. So my tolerance was very high at that time. So like I'm drinking, having a great time, and I get in my car to drive home, and I had noticed that somebody was walking behind me, and he's like, ma'am, you shouldn't drive. And I'm like, yeah. And I get my car, start driving up the parking garage up to the top, and the cops were waiting for me at the top. Little did I know that was a police officer that had was walking behind me. He had warned me not to drive home.
Oh my goodness.
So woo. They pull me over. They take me to Issaquah City Jail, book me. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I've had DUIs before, so I think I'm going to get out the next day, or they're just going to book me, fingerprint me, and then let me go, and then send me something in the mail to show up for court. That's not what happened.
And so what happened?
They made me change my clothes, get in a uniform, and they locked me. And cha-chink, I didn't see the light of day for 3 months. I was in there for 90 days. And, I had to go and see the judge and everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck? What am I doing in here? Like Deanna Powell. How am I still in jail?
Yeah.
Weeks and weeks and weeks later, and, I had to find a lawyer. I had to, I lost my job. I lost my car. It had been repossessed. Over that period of time, I sat in the jail cell just thinking to myself, how did I get here? You know?
So this
And
is a real wake up call. This is like a major like moment to sit and reflect. You had 90 days to reflect on it.
reflect, yeah, reflect is a good word. It's a soft word.
That's a soft
What
word.
I actually went through in there, you know, out of all the jails you can sit in for 90 days, Issaquah is the nicest one you can. You know, I could have done it in King County, which would have been a lot worse. And the food's worse and the atmosphere is noisier. And, you know, it was pretty cushy in Issaquah. But even so, it's still, you still feel like a caged animal. You're sitting in there. They don't care what put you there. You're there with all the other people. And, you know, I saw drug addicts, you know, who had to detox off of heroin or whatever else, you know, some of the girls that I shared the jail cell with. And by the way, it echoes really loud in there. So if you make a noise, you can hear it and it pings. You know, these girls, when they detox, would scream through the night because their body is just going through detox off of heroin. And I'm like, I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. And you can't, you're sleeping on a mattress that's, you know, not very big with no pillow. They don't give you a pillow. So your back is all jacked up and you're up all night. And this is day after day after day. And I'm like, and then I'd see, you know, a couple of working girls or, you know, massage parlor girls would got arrested and came in. Their pimp came and bailed them out. I'm sitting there going, how are these people coming in and getting out and I'm still sitting here?
Yeah. So what's going through your mind at this point?
Well, why me? Why am I here? And what put me here? And this is where, well, first of all, my mind was, I'm unworthy. I'm unworthy of getting out. I'm unworthy of people's respect. I had lost so many people's respect. I was such a flake when I was drinking. I'd make an appointment to do this, or I'd have a job here and I wouldn't show up and then I'd lose the job. And I mean, people just couldn't trust me. You know, I was untrustworthy. I was a flake. I was not a good friend. I was very promiscuous. I didn't care who, you know, I was waking up next to. I didn't even know their name sometimes. I mean, these were really bad decisions I was making. And they were definitely not empowering. Let's just put it that way. Some people are like, oh, yeah, you should have freedom to be able to do, you know, but that's not what that was. That's not how I felt afterward. Yeah. Just more shame packed on top of more shame. And anyway, so I'm sitting in there and I'm just like, this is the worst possible place to be ever. And there were some times when I would look at the cement wall, and I'd kind of think to myself, how fast do I have to run to ram my head against that wall to end it? And I'm not kidding. These were the feelings I was having, sitting there day after day going, I don't know when I'm ever going to get out of here, because the minimum sentence for how many DUIs I had was 3 months. That was minimum. But the judge, looking at my record, could have given me a year. And he told me so. He's like, I could have given you a year, but I'm only going to give you 90 days. And you better, you know, think about what you've done, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, you've ruined my life, you know. But as I sat in there, you know, I knew I wasn't going to ram my head. I wanted to, but I wasn't going to do it. And I started feeling like a physical change happening. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it's like when you have a visceral reaction to some things that are going through your mind, right? I didn't feel healthy or anything like that, but I was really feeling like there was a grind, that where you're on an axis and you were going this way, but now you're shifting, getting ready to go and shoot off in a completely different direction. And I made the decision that I was going to do absolutely everything I could to never, ever be there again in jail. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn about alcoholism. I'm going to learn everything I can about, what decisions put me here. Right. And what the number one thing I did was I wasn't mad at anybody else. I wanted to take total accountability for how I got there. And how did I get there? It was alcohol. Had I never been drinking that night at Blue Martini, I could have gotten in my car and driven home and no problem. It was alcohol. Alcohol put me there. Alcohol is the reason why I was sleeping around. Alcohol is the reason why I was a flake and losing jobs. Alcohol. If I'm going to be mad at anything, I'm going to be mad at alcohol.
Yeah.
So
that, Deanna, so I mean, because a lot of people have a lot of different addictions or bad habits or whatever, but to first make a decision, which is enlightening, because we don't always, it takes a while to get to that point. But the steps that you took too were so brave, to start asking yourself and be curious about what got you there, and accepting that responsibility. That's huge.
Yeah. They say that in AA, one of the most important steps is cleaning your side of the street and owning your role in what got you there. So you can use that in anything really. Like if you're in a relationship where, not necessarily like, well, let's use an example. If you're in a marriage that's abusive, it's not that it's your fault that this person is abusing you, but what is your role in the toxicity of that relationship? And is staying in it your role in it continuing, right? So what is my role in this scenario? Or what is my role in, maybe getting a bad review at work, or, but it's really important that we reflect on what is my responsibility to take before I start, looking at everything else, because I can control what I can control. I can't control some of the other stuff out there. So that was very empowering for me, just admitting that,
Yeah. So what were your next brave steps? What kind of transpired after that, after making that big decision?
I mean, I was like, give me all the books. Let me go to all the AA meetings, let me just go to all of the things where, the judge sentenced me to another 30 days after my 90 days in jail, 30 days in inpatient treatment. So when I went to inpatient treatment at Thunderbird Treatment Center, which is in South Seattle, and I sat there and I just read all of the books, Purpose Driven Life, all of the extra work that they wanted us to do, the worksheets and the learning about how much alcohol, this and that, how it affects the body, how it affects the brain, how to rewire your brain to, I just took it so seriously because I knew I needed change, and nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right.
So all the cliches, but it's so true. And I don't know, I just was ready, and I knew I wanted something different.
Yes. And so as you make this decision, you start taking the right steps. Were there other challenges? Because I cannot imagine that would be easy.
No, I mean, the temptation is everywhere. Okay. Like one of the scariest things, even to this day, which is so weird because I'm 13 years sober, but even to this day, you walk through the grocery store, and now they had only just made alcohol legal in the grocery store. You'd have to go to the liquor store to get alcohol, but now you walk down the aisle and everything is there. So I'm going to the store for bread, and I'm like, walk by the aisle, don't look.
Yes, and they purposely put it usually in a spot that you have to walk through.
I know, it's so annoying.
Yeah,
like, can't you just put it back in the corner?
People work for it. Yeah. Exactly. Oh my gosh.
But, but yeah, one of the things though is that, I don't know, maybe it's just me and my personality, but I'm like, give me a challenge, I'm going to challenge myself, right? And so I knew I needed to learn a different way of thinking about alcohol, right? First of all, the yuck stickers, you put on all the poison bottles for the kids. Right. Put those yuck stickers on everything that has alcohol in it, right? Now you're looking at it as that's poison and that's not going in my mouth.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so that's one of the things I did. The other thing was uh, some of the people in AA were like, your sobriety date, the last day you drank alcohol, that's the date that will never change. Don't ever let that date change, because if you let that date change, then that means you've relapsed, and
Right.
that's, you don't have to relapse. Some people are like, yeah, relapse is a part of getting sober. It doesn't have to be. And if
Oh,
you really want that date, get a tattoo of their sobriety date and just don't ever change it. That's permanent. So I'm
wow.
very proud of my sobriety date, June
Yeah.
20th, 2012. And that's my date. But one of the other things too, that one of the people that used to come into the jail to do AA meetings, he asked me a question. It was one of those ahas. He said, so he went around the room, all the ladies,
Mhm.
how many times have you quit drinking? Kind of goes along with the sobriety date. And so we kind of go around the room. Oh yeah, I've tried quitting 3 times, 4 times, 8 times, however many. And he goes, you're all wrong. And I was like, huh? And he goes, yeah, if you quit but then drank again, then you never really quit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it was
Right.
like
Yeah.
light bulb, ding. Yes, I never really quit. I never quit those other times because I kept drinking. So I that's how I knew. I knew I was ready. I knew I was done. That's my date. Now I'm gonna put the yuck stickers on. I'm gonna be mad at alcohol, like F you, alcohol, you ruined my life. You stay
Yeah.
away from me, right? And so
Right.
now when I can walk into go to a Seahawks game, or I can even go into a bar, or go on vacation and the swim up bar is right there, and you swim right up to that bar and you order a drink that doesn't have the poison in it.
Right.
And I'll order virgin mojitos. I love virgin mojitos. I'll order the virgin mai tai, or the daiquiri, or you can order stuff that doesn't have alcohol in it, and it's still fancy, and you can still drink it out of a wine glass, and you can still, I even have a non-alcoholic wine collection, and I drink non-alcoholic champagne all the time. Like any party I go to, I bring my own champagne. I'm like, I'm here with my non-alcoholic. She's, oh, Deanna's here with her party drinks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that I know that a lot of times people, because your identity changes.
Yeah.
So, maybe I don't know if you thought yourself in that previous life as the party girl, the happy girl, or, how did any of that play into your story at all?
Well, okay. It kind of goes back to when I was 16 and I started drinking. And
Hmm.
there was the Deanna then, and the Deanna that was the drinker. And I kind of realized the pre-16 Deanna was still in there. The sweet, the kind, the fun, that I can still be hilarious even without alcohol. I was still in there, and I was there the whole time. It was alcohol that had suppressed me. And so now I could come into my own, and
Oh,
I'm almost like a rebirth of Deanna, not the new Deanna, just the original Deanna.
yeah.
You
You can
know, the
actually
one
see
that's not
her.
clouded by bad decisions and shame.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, what inspiration. So, as you are on the other side of this, 13 years?
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some, as you kind of are in your space now, what are some of the lessons that you really cling on to, as that you might use again and again in new situations?
Well, one, um, don't give up. Don't quit before the miracle is what they say.
Oh,
Don't there the that epiphany or opportunity, or that thing that's going to boost you in the right direction is just right around the corner. And just taking the next right step or making the next right decision is really important when you're like at a crossroads and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do next. just do the next right thing.
Yeah.
And that's been really empowering for me. And then it's never too late to start something new and make a new path for yourself, because you get to write your next chapter. It's not it's not written for you. You get to do it.
Right.
And when you take that power into your own hands and you make the next right decision, and that quote that you said, the ball bounces higher the harder it hits the ground. And I say that all the time because it's really true. I have talked to so many people that they're just at the very lowest they could ever be. And they're like, I don't think it could get any worse. I'm just walking. I call it walking through the mud. You are putting one foot in front of the other and you're not giving up. And it feels like you're just in cement. But guess what? This is the most exciting time. Don't you realize that the most amazing thing is about to happen for you? This is your lowest. You can only go up from here.
And be excited about it. I can't go any lower.
Yeah, and it's hard to be excited about being in the cement, but I can see it because I've been there.
Yeah.
And if you can get excited about what's about to happen for you, even if you can't even see it like 1 inch in front of you yet, it's there. It's just there. It's right there. You're about to just catapult into space, Yeah.
Yes. And I love that. Don't quit before the miracle. That's beautiful. It's like, ladies, just keep that next brave. We call it the next brave step, if you will, that everyday brave. So how are you celebrating the woman that you have become?
Oh, gosh. Oh, that's a good question. Well, I became a single mom by choice. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my sobriety, was taking that chapter and writing it myself. And my oldest daughter is donor conceived. I had her as a single mom by choice via IVF. And, I may have mentioned I've been through a few really hard marriages and divorces and relationships. And when I realized I could have a family and I could do it on my own. And that was very empowering for me, but it was one of the best things I've ever done. My kids are amazing. My daughter is donor conceived. And when she turned 2, I became a foster mom, which was also something I really wanted to do. When I was sober, I was able to do that. So I became a foster mom, and I was placed with 2 siblings who I ended up adopting. So I have 3 kids. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a story for another time too, because that is big. That's huge.
Yeah, they're amazing. They are my dreams come true. I call them my dreams come true. But when I say I'm living the dream, people ask me, "How are you doing, Deanna?" I'm living the dream. But I really, truly, that's true for me. So that's one of the things where I've kind of come into who I am, because I have a role that I've always wanted, and that's being a mom. But I also look at these, first of all, being a mom I thought was unachievable. And when you think about an unachievable dream, you go, oh, well, I'll never do that. Or, oh, I could never do that. Or I don't have time for that, or whatever. I call it an unachievable dream. But I like to go after those dreams. And the podcast is one of those dreams that I had. After telling my story, when I was 1 year sober, I told my story, and I was only just trying to stop the chatter behind my back. That's really the only reason why I told my story when I was sober, because I was hearing my story being told by other people, and they were telling it wrong. I'm like, that's not true. Let me tell you what the truth is. And so I put the truth in a long Facebook post about what my experience was like in jail, and how I got sober and everything else. And once I did that, people started pouring in all the support. Oh, I needed to hear that. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you told that. So, me too, And how did you get sober? And I tell them the yuck sticker and everything else. And people got sober, and I'm like, my story has meaning. Oh my gosh. So these things, these unachievable dreams started happening for me, like becoming a mom. And now with this podcast, after telling my story, I want other people to be able to tell their stories so that they can experience having all that support and realizing that they went through something hard and it means something to someone else.
Yes,
There's purpose
absolutely.
in their story.
Yeah, it inspires people to just know that they aren't alone, that their story matters too. And the nice piece too about usually being on a podcast is that somebody will help you lead you through your story.
Yeah.
Because it's not always about the muck and the mire. It's about the overcoming and those other pieces to it, that those pieces that inspire. It's like, yes, it was really hard. And then we had this pivot, and then here we are today because we forged the fire and walked through it. And here we are today. So Deanna, oh my goodness, thank you for coming and sharing your story. And my hope is that this inspires a woman just to maybe gives her a little bit of hope that she too can take one of those brave steps like you did.
Yeah, go after all those unachievable dreams. If I could say anything, and that's it, just go for it, because if you don't try, you'll never know. And it's better to try and fail than to regret not trying at all.
Girls, there you have it. We'll see you next time on the Being Brave Tour podcast. Thanks, Deanna.
Thank you.